Hi, today I've been playing the Anthem VIP demo. Now, it's a game that's been well looked forward to by a lot of people, myself included to some degree. A little bit skeptical about it, just trying to keep my mind open though. So, I won't dance around the point too much. Let's take a look, see how I found it. So right off the bat, I ran into pretty much the same difficulties as everyone else did with connection issues, server issues apparently, though there's mixed reports on Twitter from the developers, so whatever they were, there's been wide-scale login issues, meaning people weren't able to get the game, well, the demo, anywhere near when they tried to, anywhere near the start of the demo. Now that's kind of to be expected, as I'll try and drill into later. Part of what they would have been going for with this is trying to test the servers with a decent amount of load, hence why they've been adding more and more users by throwing out more code for free, all that sort of thing. But it's still disappointing to see people getting this wrong in this day and age. But eventually I did manage to get in. Got a bit of gameplay in, a little bit solo, but mainly sort of playing with my brother online, just to get a feel for it. And to be honest, I'm quite disappointed with what I've seen. Now, a lot of that has been bugginess in general, which you kind of expect, but not to the degree I've experienced. Now, a lot of these bugs, benefit of the doubt, some of them will have been fixed in the gold release they're putting together, and a few will be released before the final release date. But when you see the developers themselves confronting the issues on Twitter, saying that they know about them and they're trying to look into them, what that really tells you is that they haven't already fixed those bugs, that they are new bugs to them. And they're some pretty severe bugs when a large population can't even load into the game, or when they do sort of mission to mission, those loading screen locks people have seen. I personally, every second attempt to go into a mission, so I'd get into one single mission of any sort, whether it be free roam or one of the story missions. Then the moment I tried to transition into the next full deployment, it'd always lock up. But that's, you do, as I say, expect to see some of this sort of issue, but not as widespread as this. This is something that should be caught earlier. And I do kind of believe we will come to see like some truth coming down the line of where they forced it out early. It's part of what you'd expect with this subscription model. I say subscription. The constant delivery model with games like Destiny, The Division, and a lot of other multiplayer games now. What you're seeing is a lower quality at the start of the game, and as much as it is an industry norm, I still don't feel the need to support that with my own money. In terms of the actual game itself, though, it's alright, but nothing more than that to me. The general flight mechanics are pretty good, but it's the little bits and pieces, like being stuck on the side of scenery. Just little oddities like figuring out how to do certain things are not smooth at all. After this long in development, as I said, expect more. There are some other bits and pieces that I admit will have been down to the fact that I couldn't play for as long as I was without just getting frustrated and having to put the controller down. Now, some of that comes down to the gear, which I've seen a lot of people seem to really like the variety of gear available, but from the gameplay I've had, it seemed to just be like you choose an element, and the rest of it's just picking what animation you're going to do. There doesn't seem to be much true depth in the variety. Now, that may be something you see later. Again, it may be something that once you get access to the other javelins, that's another bug that a lot of people were experiencing, was that you didn't get to try a second javelin out. And again, that is tainting my view, but I think that's a fair tainting. I acknowledge that it might be the case that once you get that second javelin and see all the other classes, there might be a little bit more depth and tactics in there, but so far it was, you see the weapons, all the weapons I tried seemed overpowered and just not fun to use. Just sort of, it didn't seem to pack any real punch, and from that point they make you focus on the abilities, but when the abilities themselves seemed underwhelming to me, it's difficult to want to play the game anymore, and I really do want to like it. And some more general issues with how like enemies behave, where enemies will either disappear or at some crucial point in a fight when you like complete the little objective, they'll just run away. You have to figure out, because there's no notification in the corner yet, because everything's a little bit janky and out of sync. You try and chase the enemies down, but it turns out they're just fleeing from a battle they've already lost. And there's little pieces like that. And then at some points in time, it sort of almost goes the other way, where you can be fighting a boss who'll seem to know exactly where you are all the time. I was facing an enemy, I'll try and run the right footage in here, where it was so overpowered that you needed to take a very tactical move for it. But those tactics for me ended up just being hiding behind a cliff, which is very simple, nothing complicated about it. But then the moment you'd pop up, it wasn't that enemies would snap to you and then shoot you, but it seemed to almost be that they would shoot you and then snap to look at you. And I swear, if I can find the footage, I could swear that as I popped up, with missiles that were in flight, just turned to fly at me, despite no action having taken place there. There are other times where snipers instantly shot me the moment I popped up, which admittedly is challenging, but there's challenging and then there's just unfair. And that's sort of the point where, yes, you make enemies stronger, make them do more damage, make them a little bit more resilient, makes them more reactive to stuff, but making them just know where you are all the time, it's a cheap trick that I thought we were past in game development. Now, I understand that with this sort of game, a lot of the joy you're going to get out of it is about beating these tough encounters and doing it alongside friends. But I think that these games also need to be able to hook you on their own merits. And although when I was playing through there was some interesting story going on, there's nothing there yet that's kind of hooked my interest. It's difficult to pin down exactly what element that is, that thing about a game that makes you just want to play it. There's been a few games recently that have just finally hooked me over, like the more recent Hitman games. I know I've spoken about them and not done the promised Let's Plays through, but bear with me, I will get to that. They've just had the right atmosphere and the right level of thought behind them to drag you into it. And I guess that is kind of a personal taste thing, that most games I want to be able to experience them on my own, I guess. Like a decent single player campaign. It's something that in modern gaming is heavily overlooked, even by some very big names. The thing I've seen in games like Destiny and The Division is the story is there, but that story ends up being so diluted down because when you want to get through and you want to play games with someone, you'll be trying to get past that story. And I had exactly that same thing in this demo, which admittedly, again, part of that will be down to the fact that it's a demo and we just want to try it all out. But with a good demo, it's been able to hook me on every aspect, the gameplay, the story, the community. Anthem's really failed on all fronts for me. And I know it's early to say this, and I'm not ruling it out that it might be a great game, given a little bit of time and a little bit of attention. But it just doesn't feel there to me yet. And that's why I can't really justify putting the whole retail price down at launch. And will I end up buying it? Yeah, almost certainly. It'll probably be like 6, 12 months down the line, once the price has dropped a bit, once they've figured all the mechanics out. And I'm going to predict now that I'm actually going to lose some enjoyment from being in that game with a lot fewer new players to sort of get to grips with things. And hopefully I'll be able to find some people to hang around with, get through it all. But it's a shame that I'm going to miss out on that early launch day exploring of the world. But as I say, I just can't bring myself to commit to that purchase. Anyway, those are just some thoughts, really. I am waiting to see what comes out after launch, and hopefully I'll be proven correct and then I'll get better down the line. Hopefully you enjoyed listening to that and seeing some other footage of where I did so incredibly well, obviously. Slightly better than the recent Hitman Let's Plays. If there is anything you liked or disliked, please do drop me a note in the comments. Beyond that, have a good day, and I'll hopefully see you around.